Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is, how do I get confidence back after I've been through something that is so unsettling as this? A relationship that can make you feel unloved, unsupported, questioning your sanity, questioning your reality, questioning your strengths, questioning your I am, your purpose in life, your very being, even the very constitution of where you're going, where you've been, or where you even want to be. How do you really kind of like take a time out and really a step back and regain and maybe experience for the first time in a long time a feeling of confidence after something difficult, tragic, traumatic, overwhelming has happened to you, and it's basically turned your world upside down. Things were going humming along and you had some information. It can be the loss of a dear loved one. In this pandemic, and with the COVID, this has created a huge uncertainty and a lot of constriction in a lot of people, which has betrayed a lot of people's confidence. Not only confidence in the system, what's going on, their work or whatever, but confidence within themselves and how to have good judgment, how to have good decision making, and how to say, yes, do I really have a stand at making things improve in my life such that it really feels like I'm growing or progressing, or do I feel like my wheels are just still going? It can be very traumatizing, very traumatic when you discover some news or something that causes a grief reaction or syndrome and leaves you feeling very uncertain and really unable to focus and questioning yourself, questioning your strengths, questioning where you want to go. And really, you can't really make an assessment of the situation. Why can't you make an assessment? Because you haven't been able to turn inward to take count and accountability of certain things as they are going or transpiring, or you are taking things personally or the wrong way, meaning that some event, situation, or series of situations have left you feeling that you are unloved, unsupported, uncared for, that things aren't going your way, that maybe things won't change, or really, how do you turn things around? How do you push the button on again in life, in yourself, in others, in your environment, your workplace, whatever it is? It's your whole perspective that needs to be really looked at. And when you have gone through a rejection, a loss, an assault of your character or esteem, you've been with someone who has, or a situation that has been toxic, things have been demeaning, you've had an experience of betrayal, and then it's now led to untrust, uncertainty, and then a lot of anger and other uncomfortable emotional states. And it's very unproductive to spend vast amounts of time in these negative states, questioning, pondering, getting dragged down, getting dragged in the quagmire oftentimes of another person who was the hurt, the assailant, the one who was the inflictor of pain, to continue to see things from their perspective, and then question yourself, why wasn't I? Why couldn't I? Ultimately, why didn't things change? Why didn't I have the power? Why didn't I see things? So your own sense of focus, personalization, humanity can be disrupted. And, and feeling like your normal self, and then something happens. In other words, you might have had an illness that required a surgery or an accident. All these kind of run the spectrum on the same continuum of like there is some pain involved, albeit, on many levels. Introspective. What you consume, how you feel, how you move, how you carry yourself, what opportunities speak to you, what things do you really pick up on, and what do you really get excited and rewarded by, but yet find to sabotage, or there's some pattern that you see emerging that is not taking you somewhere, and you're feeling very disempowered. That means sort of lack of certainty. Having a lack then of trust can be the ultimatum deep within the solar plexus, and really emerging into all the visceral organs within. You've got the irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, all these Crohn's disease and things that can be based on like emotions that are trapped. And like M. Scott Peck, he starts his book, Life is Difficult. Well, but then he goes on. I mean, it's just about that big, but then there's all sorts of other stuff. Okay, so when you're in a really traumatizing situation, a surgery, an accident, an illness, a job loss, a very significant income loss, all these sort of are on, or like you're realizing that there are some key figures in your environment that are not there, that they're you don't have sort of a guidepost, a way of measuring a good, wholesome an outcome, and instead, people are brooding. They have reoccurring, thoughts, incessant thoughts, or they're just sort of in the valley too much, and they're not looking at all that is above or the solutions therein. They're getting sort of stuck in the quagmire. And oftentimes, when we kind of look at those situations, whether you have suffered, experienced, and have, reoccurring sort of hindering or self-hindering thoughts or feelings, basically resonates with, I am not good enough, I was not lovable, or all these other interpretations of situations where now you feel less than, ground meat, chopped liver, useless, worthless, the bottom of the pile. It doesn't get any worse. I don't know where to go. This is the scariest feeling. And these, people call this in literature the dark night of the soul, but it doesn't have it. But then there is the illuminating, there is the illumination. So not the Illuminati, not some sort of crazy, situation that you're going to find yourself in, or even a pattern of after you experience this, you don't have to then agree to certain patterns, conditions, in ways that will lead to negative outcomes, such as uncertainty. That becomes a very uncomfortable way of living. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to feel. I don't know what to make of this. And usually the people then are spending too much problem focusing on, they spend too much of the issue focusing on the problem, on the negative. For example, with the pandemic, are you always trying to keep up on which variant? What is your mask mandate? What do you have to present? Or are you getting caught up in the debate of this? This will then consume a vast amount of your energy in life, along with the other relationship issues or experiences that you might have coupled with this, i.e. a narcissistic relationship, someone who has a pathological sense of self-importance coupled with a lack of empathy. Let's just call it they're into themselves. It doesn't mean that they're not into you, but they are into themselves. They are way into themselves. And you might be way into them too. You might really love them beyond the moon, and back to Jupiter. There exists nothing else without them. You might have given a lot of care or caregiving to these people, or were the receiving of such, but yet receive care in a narcissistic frame, a way of looking at things, a method of control and manipulation, in a way of keeping you under while they're over, which ultimately leads to very diverse and distant, cold outcomes. And for them, it does not matter. So for them, someone who is narcissistic, they really don't care to hear about your victories, your positive outcomes, your struggles. You have the sniffles, how you feel about COVID, which really, they're all into themselves. So whether it be what they're thinking, feeling, behaving, or doing, they're consumed in that energetic field, and the size of it you can basically keep to what is around them and then what they create. So they have very much ownership of this. This is their outside reflecting in. So, and yes, they have every right to happy, extraordinary life. Whoever this person is, let them be and have what they have, but don't allow them to define you by a lack of confidence because they don't show, reflect, give support, if very much. But if it is so, it's usually done in a condescending way, or in a manner with which is with sort of, you're so pathetic, to feel sorry, or as if you're less than, and they're always going to reflect that back. They're going to communicate that back in their energy. So, and all the time, so even that it will take up a lot of your memory and energy space, which will then, go beyond your heart, what you felt, to then how you feel, how you think, and it'll encompass your whole being. It'll consume you. Instead of having a relationship, it'll basically relate. It'll basically continue to consume you on their path, unless you say, hey, time out, it's time to take amends with myself, as if one needs amends to be made with, and that is yes. So what are the amends, and why does specifically a narcissist or psychopathic relationship result in a framework, a way of looking at, a way of living, a way of being, whether it be in your close nuclear family, the one who you were born into, whether they were narcissistic, did they have a pathological sense of self-importance coupled with a lack of empathy, which means when you needed them most, it was about them, or when you needed something, they weren't there to be found. They don't do this, and then they were on to something else. And usually there's a betrayal that is then woven into that matrix, or that feeling, sentient emotion, which runs really like the flow of blood within you, whether that was a positive or a negative, whether you glean from them a positive mentorship, or whether it was just too much. But the thing is, there's always going to be a give and take, and people who have been in these relationships and have suffered crippling effects, oftentimes are huge embodiments of empathy for these people, and understand their struggles better than they understand themselves. Meaning they're so into this person, because this person is so important, significant, blown up in their eyes. But the thing is, it has you in a captive pattern, and in a liberating or freeing pattern, which is very different from a health love relationship than a narcissist or psychopath relationship. It's very net-like or net-woven. So swoosh, it's very much, it can really engulf a lot of people. Like, they really feel tuned in when they're with this person. They make everything fun. They make everything funny. You can be yourself. You can have emotions. You can, you feel like you might bring out specific parts of your personality that you love or can't express elsewhere. And then it gets to be some sort of stability there. What you feel, which can be, woven into that relationship, which means stability, which means they are always there, or you're always present and observing. So we have to look at a perspective, and one that is freeing and liberating really very much means that you have to be able to walk through and really move through, not only physically, but in the inner eye and in the heart of your being, the ability to see transparency for what it is, and to see where, part of you was denied or extinguished or scarred or hurt in the making. Extinguished means snuffed out, like a candle holder, one of these. Here we go. Is typical peace and harmony. Typical peace and harmony demo. Okay, so here, you're your light, and you've got your little shine on, and you're being yourself, and you're wanting love and these different things, and you're wanting they're oftentimes they're witnessing their breath, even their laughter, their smile, their body language. It can be like that much that becomes so important that you then need. See, but that's a narcissistic relationship. A narcissistic relationship throws a net out. It puts a restriction on. It sets a rule that you must abide by. I mean, all the correlation that we can get right now with the COVID and the mask, you have to put a mask on in order to enter into. But this is life itself. I mean, this is your inhabitants. This is how you relate to people. I mean, all the traumatizing stories that you have even been witness to, I feel, compounded in with this pandemic. If you don't know how to cope or deal or process appropriately, it's going to get you really bummed out. It's going to get you really down in the dumps, or needy and greedy, irritated, angry, resourceless, out in the cold, left out, burned out, bummed out, whatever it is. And you don't know how to kind of fully embody that sort of better, healthy perspective. Well, oftentimes liberating is the key. Liberating from, if we look back at the narcissist relationship, and oftentimes the very integral components of who they are, they can stand out, to us like a shining light. These people who have a pathological sense of self-importance coupled with a lack of empathy. I mean, we want to boil this down here, okay? They might be amazing people, intelligent, talented, wealthy, good-looking, charming, beautiful, handsome, full of character, just a magnificent story to them in the making. And you might be very attached to them in this. And so feeling that part of your being, even your limbs, are like interwoven, as if you see people dancing, but for you, the dance is never ending. For you, there's a dance that becomes more constricting. It doesn't bring out your flow, your grace, your next, your next growth, your next aha moment. You're not hitting the next level. You're not going there. You're not going places. You're not getting the job done, or the job is doing you. The relationship is just relating you. Basically, it's just consuming you from that. And then you can't enter into without that feeling of the net. So again, I mean, the COVID here has a huge juxtaposition, and I like to very much pull out the tangible to experience the intangible. And we're really now evolving. I think now that we've had this huge reset with the pandemic, we are required to look at things differently. And so for the narcissist, it might, and for those people who are in relationships with them, or have had a pattern of relationships in the past where you've had a part of you that's literally got your best right arm. I mean, you were someone's right arm girl. You were someone's right arm man. You were there. You thought it was all that in a bag of chips. That was all blown up in your mind. And it was nothing but empty calories, foo-foo drink. I mean, you're going up to Starbucks and you might as well be going, fill me up with a thing of styrofoam or something more toxic. And if you could, even better, light it on fire, and perhaps a couple, tablets in there that make me yell and scream and, do crazy things and forget my, where my future is and what I'm after. Can you throw that in? I mean, that is basically the empty, what you're getting. You're not getting something. But yet the narcissist, you see, they're all about pushing it down, pushing it back. No, it's all about what's on the limelight, the lemon light, whatever it is, what's on, whatever they're on is on. So I will be at. It's all about, I am doing. You can basically feel like you're revolving around them, almost as if you are like that elephant we talked about who had learned helplessness, who was literally tied to a post and basically learned not to wander away because the tug of that rope kept him there. And then after a while, a trainer who trains elephants, they can then curb the behavior of these elephants even long after they take that actual rope off, because the elephant has learned and circuited its brain, basically taught, I can't go that far, I can't go any further. So even though there could be a vast forest out there that the elephant could go and get its fruit and bring it down and maybe play with some water and maybe meet some other elephants or rub its thing up against a tree, or get some very delicious berry fruits, that elephant is now in a circus, or in a trainer's hands, who can't walk any further than maybe a 10-foot circumference. And even though then they can take it anywhere, this elephant is so well behaved. Oh, aren't they well behaved? Isn't that amazing? Isn't that miraculous? Well, yeah, what if being well behaved for you means putting up, shutting up, and being emotionally asphyxiated or being cut out, not belonging, yet being, sort of there, and sort of, feeling that you had to be there on the outside. If you just had to show up almost as if, not a corpse, but almost feeling as such. Yet you could have been a teenager. You could have been an infant. You could have been in your 20s or 30s or even later, and you're saying, hey, I'm not this mask. This whole body isn't the mask. I mean, what people then find themselves is their whole life then sort of in this restricted, learned helplessness, which can be imbued in a narcissist sort of relationship matrix or pattern. They sort of cast a net according to that which serves them best, and is according to their interests. And oftentimes it can be they can be uncognizant or unwilling to be cognizant of any sufferings that could even be normal, human. You stubbed your toe, I gained a pound, whatever. They don't want to have time for it. To them, it messes up their radar. Oh God, here, they don't, there's too many, you have too many questions. Either we're going to this restaurant and I'm and this or not, and then you're supposed to make these life ending decisions in a moment while you're there, trying to figure this out. God knows you're making life important decisions on a text, via Zoom, or any other situation or device where you don't even feel that you are known as a person. And it's not good to be known from the outside in, because that's not how you can't show up in life from the outside in. You show up from the inside out, and that's not what the narcissist is about. They're like, you can't just be. In other words, it's a very threatening, murky, dark place for them that they don't shine light to. See, they don't have empathy. They don't have the mirror neurons that are part of that in their physiology. So they literally are lacking. Just as if you can figure it like pigment of skin, they're lacking of an empathy in that area. So, for example, my skin, has a certain amount of melanin or lack thereof, and someone who's darker will have more, and you might get freckles. But what I'm saying, what was I saying? Yes, to make the kind of, so, in other words, their brain physiology, which is we're talking about the etheric field. So we're getting into other dimensions, someone's emotional field, how you feel. Are they this? Are they that? I mean, you can feel sometimes, especially around a narcissist, a specific energy. And they want that. See, this is because this is how they command attention. This is how they rule a room. This is how they do their do. This is just what they, but it can be empty in terms of, or what I like to call vacuous. Empty, which means it can sweep you away, but yet it'll also drop you off someday as well. And where you maybe can't find your way, or are very unhappy and are wondering like, what was wrong with me? And because you didn't fit in or belong according to this mask, or not, or even this sort of pattern of narcissistic needs that is in their foundation root requirement, to be just disperse yours, not hear from, not listen, not be aware of, just gotta go. I've got a call. They're just they will not be present, or if they're there, they'll like gasp in astonishment, like as if you have the plague, and you just have a fever or a cold, and then they treat you and they don't have any time for that, and they don't want to know you, because you might even have more questions or need more presence from them than they are able to offer. So presence meaning there's an etheric energy, there's a feeling, there's a being, it's a fireside chat, it's a kumbaya, it's a come to peace and harmony, it's a let's talk about things, what are you doing, I'm gonna have a party, come over for some whatever, and we're gonna talk about you and what's going on. Oh wow, does the narcissist have that kind of invitation? No, there's no room. It's their chair, and don't mar it up, and be careful where you put your this, your that, and make sure you show up in a specific way, and don't be real, because they can't handle that. And you all know what happens when a narcissist can't handle that. They can't handle the real. They can't handle a question. They can't handle a need, because they feel dragged down. So you become feeling like a burden, unnecessary, unwieldy, and then you might identify or say your I am is as such. I am unwieldy. I am impossible. I am, you might have these like large vacuous I am statements that you have floating around your subconscious as a result of the apparent imperfections, that you have, because of the narcissist and their wounding and their injuries and such. So just to go a little bit more back to like, how do you still find out your confidence when things don't seem like they're working out? So, and getting back to the pandemic too, because what I'm trying to help you to illuminate is that there is a liberation, there is a freeing of movement, and yes, you can be, live, have, and do, and you are not all that restriction, but there are so many rules, regulations thrown at you that are very restrictive, and it can even impede your personal growth, your financial growth, your I am growth, what you're doing. So, and this might harken back to when we started the pandemic, or this might have started within the pandemic, or this might have started way before. You have to know where you're at on the radar. But anyway, you always need to know where you're at the I am in peace radar. You need to know when you're always in the I trust, and I believe, and I am in a faith sort of physiology. And then within that, you feel sort of like that energy is a mentor. That energy is a mentor. That liberating energy itself is a mentor. So the pandemic and then the reset, it caused a lot of blocks to start. You can't do this, you can't do that. And there's all this sort of fear that has perforated and permeated this. So then, and then now just think how well you have adjusted to the requirements, and you've changed. And if you can even look back in your life in the past several years, look how many adjustments you have made. So, and look how many you have made either with question or unerringly. and look how flexible and resilient you are. Or maybe you have a lot of resistance. Resistance meaning you want to fight back. You want to, you've got a lot of more shining to do, or you've got a bigger light, brighter light that the narcissist doesn't know you have and doesn't want to see you have. Just, it's sort of on a parallel, if you will, to what's going on with the pandemic and the sort of curtailing of your behavior, emotions, feeling, deciding, behaving, and becoming, which can be subject to hurt and in detriment at this time. So it's kind of like a wake up. How do you get confidence when you feel all that has been ripped out from underneath you, or you've been defined something negatively according to some sort of weakness that then the narcissist, or now with the pandemic, says that you have, that's causing you really to feel that you can't move forward, whether it's a vaccine or not. However you think, that is, we're talking really at the ground root level. We're trying to be very thorough here and specific about a narcissist relationship and kind of how that energy works and how it impacts your own personal energies within, as a way of liberating, getting confidence and trust. Not something just for the now, but something now that you can always claim and for yourself, which is difficult to do if you have been held back from this. If you have always known this, to be constricted, to have to show up, for a narcissist, oftentimes you might have to show up physically and not emotionally. That's tough. How many times have you had to show up physically but not emotionally? Because your emotions could not be accounted for. They could not, your energy was not wanted. They didn't have the time of day, the time of night either. Maybe even you had a lot of great, maybe some fun times, but then you were called rambunctious. You were called this. In other words, you had bought into the narcissist. You was done as they had wanted. You had helped support their flame, but yet then they gave you something else in return. They go, oh no, not, and they're going to basically snuff you out. That is the narcissist sort of part of their playbook and their matrix and part of their net, if you will, how they sort of get people in and out of the net, and whether you're in or out. It's kind of like a cell membrane, if you will, how things kind of like go in and out, whether you're in or out with them. What do you have to do to get in? All these conditions, things that you have, whether it's, what do you have to, open up and flash? Is it a watch? Is it a degree? Is it a $20,000 rug? Is it stock in Coca-Cola? Is it some sort of over here? Is it some sort of trip to the Bahamas? Is it, what did you have to promise? Or so it can go both ways though for a narcissist. So usually there's some sort of reward that they're gonna want you to kind of clinch into, which means to be able to be around them, to be able to be basking in their magnificence, basically is the prize itself, while you get kind of this, and you're just supposed to kind of go along in the dark and sort of just feel your way until, and that's, but see, sometimes you're in the light, and that's where your confidence is in the love bombing, when you were reflecting back or reactive enough to a narcissist. And it is not sustainable to always be in this reactive manner. This is not healthy either, because that means you're always having to help someone else. You're always just having to check into someone else's needs, and you have to check out of yourself. As if then you come back to yourself and you're like, you feel like you're an abandoned property on the what side of who knows where, and you aren't anything from the truth, but that's how you feel. And yet this is what happens to all sorts of people who, have a lot of money or all these different things, and they're very unhappy. And then they all say, this is just, and then they just, want to lose everything, very erratic behavior, you know, um, and it's because, you need to be able to have been appreciated, and so just the very act of being appreciated would have been helpful, very, very much. And so just like now with the pandemic, people don't feel appreciated. You've got, put on a mask, stay 6 feet away, look down, don't breathe, you better not talk. There's all these rules, stay 6 feet away, and so it's basically constricting you from the outside in. And that also affects your feeling, being, and decision making process, and as well as your fear base that you experience on the day to day. And now, people who watch all the news, you're re traumatizing yourself, and you're staying, or are you liberating yourself? You see, which side of the coin are you looking at, and which do you refuse to look at? It could all be, wonderful. Proper decisions that are being made for you, by you, and for you. Things coming together, you meeting your goals, you feel like you're graduating, things are improving, you're growing as a person. You're not going, oh my God, not this again, not the same rut, not I did this, not I did that, I can't believe this. And that, and this becomes a betrayal bond, and always trying to pick yourself up mode, and that is, then you find yourself in pickup mode, and you don't know, even you're looking for something else outside of you to pick you up. And these can be very bleak, and you can't even, find yourself within. And how do you navigate with, especially within COVID, how do you navigate like really happy, positive, productive, forward moving momentum, and liberating and taking the best opportunity out of this reset? Some people can look at this narcissist relationship, even though it was so hurtful, and go, oh my gosh, this was actually the greatest gift, because it shows me what I truly value. Just like with the pandemic, and we had to come to the reset, whatever changes that meant for you, you really came to appreciate some things. Toiletries weren't available to you. Remember, it was the year of the toilet paper and the Kleenex. Maybe they're still doing it. It's not making news anymore. But do you see, a lot of that news is what's feeding your subconscious, and what is creating that base for your inner happiness. And then a part of you, that inner happiness, has a chain link or some sort of combination that is, still attached to this person. Then you're not sort of able to fully negotiate your full energy field, your full I am in the etheric, and then in the many other layers of being that you are. You're not just, your physical being, your etheric being, spiritual, psychological, etheric, and getting into other dimensions, which is meant for your evolvement and your growth. But this can be an unwelcome situation if you've been sort of found yourself cast out of relationship with a narcissist. You'll literally feel like a castaway. I've been thrown away. I feel like garbage. There is a band called that a lot of people jump around to. I guess they're getting the garbage off of themselves, or they're trying to detox and get the garbage out. Hopefully they don't, do more of the same that causes them to feel more like garbage and restricted, fearful and alone and unhappy, and all those other mood states, all those other affect states that affect your day-to-day flow, what you say, do, who you meet, what you pick up, what you don't, what you recall, what you don't, and then really kind of moving forward, using your prefrontal cortex for what you dream and what you feel you can dream. So oftentimes that very factor has thrown people into a muck, a literal muck swamp place, but hey, let's light things up. Really, literally, figuratively, and all around. Why? Because it's important for you to understand a certain dynamic. And with a narcissist relationship. Someone who has a pathological sense of self-importance coupled with a lack of empathy. So they require a lot of compliance. And if you have had to comply with, and oftentimes not knowing the reason why, this can be an assault on your character. So, and then if this can be coupled with, and into the psychopathic, where those people who have really deceived and betrayed you beyond even what your etheric field has maybe even seen before, or what you've seen with your own eyes, it can make you feel very lost, dazed, and confused. Is that a movie? It sounds like a fun title, but being lost, dazed, and confused might not be a happy place that you want to visit when you're booking your flight. Were you going to Vegas? Was your life kind of like, the narcissist, what is a real, if you can think about like, what is an outside, sort of defining yourself by the outside. So a narcissist has a pathological sense of self-importance, which means it's all about them, what they say, what they need, what they do, what their rules are, how they define you, what you can belong in, and what you can fit in, and what you get to experience. And oftentimes, your unhappiness will be part of what is required within that framework. Putting on the mask, don't everybody see anybody smile again. That's got to be problematic for your subconscious. If you've never been able to share a good laugh anymore for fear you're exchanging this or that, or all this sort of is building in a new fear, but it can build in a new respect. Basically, respect, which means to honor. And when you have respect, to be in a respect state, it's very important to call forth respect states and really understand what that is due, and where true respect is earned, it is deserved. So when you respect, so someone who has earned a degree, a physician, you will say, I respect your study. I respect your discipline. I respect your time commitments. I respect your financial commitments, and then something comes along with that. But think about true respect. So there's very many different kinds of respect. And I learned that I'm studying Japanese in my degrees. So studying in psychology and English, and eventually doing a lot of new product development, branding, a lot of IP work, that tagline writing and things of that nature that I really loved, and things, but that built on, so in the Japanese culture, there's many different ways, for example, of respect. So respect is huge in the Japanese culture. And I studied Japanese, which was part of my degree requirements. And I actually went to Japan, which was super cool. I did very well at a company that I work for, and that was a prize given to have earned that in their President's Club. So that was super cool and that's like how things work out. Like, things have worked out. Even things will line up, like your attainments can be kind of like a mountain ridge. The narcissist will look down there. Look down there. Look at you down there. But look at me, and even though all these things are lining up, and it's all this is all you lining up, not with the narcissist, not with that label or definition. We're talking currently about their energy, and then how it can be constricting and causing a lot of real fear-based sort of deliberation, not knowing what to do next. Feeling very uncertain. Things are feeling shaky. Feeling, especially, am I going to find love again? Am I going to this again? A lot with the pandemic, am I going to be able to go to work without a mask again? Or am I going to be able to go to work without a mask? Or am I going to be working there or remote? So all these different questions. Or maybe your job is getting hugely bonused and you're really thriving the pandemic like the narcissist. They might be riding the top of this wave, and then you're also riding the wave, but your wave might be a lot more peaceful. You might be looking at the depth of things and have a depth of personality, but they're clamoring for pay attention to me. What about me? And it's all about them. So you can't have a healthy exchange in that. And so like when things come to matrimony and things, there's a coming together, a oneness, an enlargement of the together of the two of you. You're better together. But the narcissism happens when someone has a pathological sense of self-importance, which means it's going to preside over all and any of your needs. So even though you might love or be in love or be transfixed or asphyxiated, really strung out on this person in this way, which we're going to find that has of your threading, and you can de-thread. But it's to say that because that's who they are and how they are, and that's how they are, and there becomes an acceptance and a realization that there are some people who are like this, and you might not have a good fit, or you might not be a good fit for this type of relationship. Someone who is always talking about themselves and doesn't want to hear about you or from you or what you need or how you're doing. You see, that might not be a good relationship for you. Just like, with the pandemic, if this and this and this, these are the requirements. And especially when it comes to being able to enjoy your life and your lifestyle, being able to travel, have restaurants. How do you take the reset? How do you take the narcissist relationship and see that things are still working out for you? That this was meant to be. Oh my God, peace and harmony. You cannot tell me that something this horrific, this difficult, this hurtful, this traumatizing that I've been walked over can be a positive thing. That I was so fooled, peace and harmony, that, you can't tell me that for all of my formative years, that even though that this happened, that things are going to work out for me, that things are going to line up. Hey, guess what? They are, but things are a little bit more peaceful for you than things in the reset. When you come to the reset, you begin to have a respect. So that was a wake up, and respect is like, I obey. I obey. I'm not going to go in the middle of the street with a red light on. I obey. I respect. So that is what respect feels like. So it's very important for you to engender, feel, not pacify, not snuff out this experience of respect. I respect. I respect a red light. I respect a green light. I respect a yellow light. I respect, I respect my shoe size. If I wear shoes that aren't my size or my style, I ain't going places. In fact, my shoes just the other day, really beautiful, furry, super cute, suede, warm as can be. The real fur, the bottom is falling off. That's a lack of integrity material. It's falling apart. So it's crumbling. No. So that is, and why are we talking about this? Because I just lost my train of thought. Okay, yes. So how can things work out? When you come to peace, you can see things for what they are. Okay. And we're going to get back to that boot thing in the moment. And I did have to get rid of them. I did have to throw them out because, we're talking about fit. Yes, because you might find, and we're talking about respect, you're not a good fit for shoes that don't fit you. You're not a good fit for a jacket that doesn't fit you, or a hat. It'll make a clown out of you. It'll make a joker, but it might not make an acrobat. And you might be very graceful. You might be very muscular. You might, be other things. You might be more of a ballerina, but you might not be a clown or a jester. Yet you feel pulled in, eventually, things with relationships, especially within a narcissist, relationships do things and go places, and they can either go down and taking you to the wrong places, or they can bring you to peace, light, and even within those are places. And getting back to respect. So I'm not going to respect certain things because it's not going to work for me. So what is respect? I respect that having a driver's license, I'm going to get in my car when I have my driver's license, or I respect. So feel what it feels like to have respect, and know what that feels like in your body. Okay, respect. Okay, and now I want you to feel what it feels like when you have reverence, or what you might consider piety or reverence, when you have some sort of reverence or feeling of awe or the Almighty. Like you might see a big mountain and you go, wow, that's like awesome. Or a big ocean, or a beautiful hotel room. Like, oh my God, that's awesome. And there's different states of that. There's the natural, miraculous, there's the man-made, but really think about a blend of those. Think kind of like when you think about respect, and think about a blend of respect. What are different kinds of respect? When I studied Japanese, the culture is very imbued in respect, and the culture has a structure. It has a matrix, a format, a pattern built on respect and reverence, and it begins with your elders. And you respect your elders in the Japanese culture, as I learned when I studied Japanese, because I was all about that. In fact, I had an intensive where I actually had a Japanese intensive where I lived with those people who were Japanese and Japanese speaking and all that, to really have an immersion experience, which was scary, because talk about a change. When you have a change of becoming, from lingual to bilingual, and you're in that immersion and you're listening to all these tapes, back in the day in the listening room, and you had to, read, you had to be able to speak a different language. That's what like transforming and healing from a narcissist relationship is. It's like going through an intensive new language study, but the language is your emotions. The language is your body. The language is your needs, which speak out and radiate from you and are able to be vocalized, felt, and and rewarded in a meaningful and mindful way. So respect. So think about, and then think about, in the different. So the Japanese, they have different types of respect, and so you respect your elders. What does this look like played out? Well, your elders hold the wisdom. They've lived a long time. They've seen some things. They've been around the block or two. They maybe know some things, so you better listen. They have respect. So this is the Japanese culture. It's built in and woven. So as you get up the ladder, you're going to be the wise one someday. So you've got the good things coming. So, and then the same, thing goes for, your elders. And then what else does that play like? Well, in the Japanese household, you'd have a bath water, which oftentimes would be well drawn or natural mineral water. You can go to Japan and have a wonderful therapeutic hot water bath, or their natural steams bath through their very beautiful spa, and they're very tranquil, ceremonial, and you can go like I've seen their gone and visited in their temples. They have temples that pay reverence to certain structures like huge mountains and things. It's like, hello, big mountain, we name you. We revere you. So like the big mountain there, Mount Fuji, is kind of, you might see that in a lot of Japanese movies and settings. So anyway, so within that culture, how does that play out? So the bathwater for the elders. If you're in a Japanese family and the bathwater is super hot, you better believe that those elders are getting in first. They earned it. They need it. They're getting the hot water. Then who comes next? Who is next in line? The parents and then the kids. Take it for what it is. That is how the interplay of respect plays out in a Japanese household. They get the hot water, so it's woven into your behaviors. And the Japanese, they bow, they show deference, and that's a state of allowing, And so anyway, we're not going to go much more in depth, but because this has something meaningful to you, because there's something for you in this video, in the privacy of this video. So the same thing is like filling up your cup with respect. We're going to be talking about that. But the Japanese, so for example, they have then, how does it play out also? Respect. The Japanese have 6 or 7 words for to give. To give. So, ageru, like there's a certain word for I give a water to a plant. Okay? Or I give water to a animal for their drinking water. But then there's a different word to give. If I'm handing a boss, here's your presentation, it's going to be something different. And, and then likewise, if you give your parents something, there's many different words for to give. So respect and giving are interwoven. And that is not my interwoven. It is a one-way street in a narcissist relationship. Okay? Because respect and reverence are 2 emotional states that we're focusing on, or B states. And I talk about in the book that I'm working on, emotement. So getting time to feel an emotion, and changing or alchemizing that emotion into what it is ought to be, its rightful path. Likewise, I also studied, the right path, or what you might feel is your right path. So there can be such a thing, and it's been with you all along. It is with you all along, and you are on the right path right now. I mean, you are where are you supposed to be, and things are the way they are supposed to be right now. Yes, they are. You got this. Even if you would say, this is a mess, it'll be impossible, this is painful, I hate this. These are your feelings, okay? Well, get it out, but who didn't want to hear about it? Maybe, you didn't get it out, but anyway, we're coming back to these emotional states of respect and reverence. So, for example, if you're in Japan and you see Mount Fuji, that is meant to call forth reverence. And you can go and hike up on it, and there's many, very many beautiful things woven, but for your own situation, your own self right now, and you can replay this video again and again. What is a place where you have felt reverence? Just, you walked in and you go, oh my God, I'm part of this. I'm here. This is part, it might have been a huge building, a big government building or a big mansion, or, someone's jewelry, or I don't know, whatever it is, something that you found. It wouldn't be something like jewelry. No, that wouldn't be reverence. Although reverence can be a large diamond. These are different things, but you have different states of reverence and respect. But where have you felt reverence before? When did you go, wow? Or when, and you might even say that was a couple times. And then respect. So reverence and respect, these are 2 very important states for you to cultivate in your inner being. Reverence and respect. This leads to peace, and this leads to harmony. To have respect and reverence. And I want to keep it boiled down like really simply, really easy for you now, because you have to be able to drum up and have, even despite all the pandemonium, chaos, rules, regulations, fear, all the, what's going on. I don't consume the media. I am about helping other people, and I'm choosing to spend my time to help other people in their own lives here through the channel and in the book and in the tools and in the I am and in the tools that we're working on now. So respect and reverence. So think about that for a moment. And respect. And yourself. Self and respect. Let's call forth now that feeling of respect and reverence. And I want you to feel that about yourself. Inside. Oh, peace and harmony. I'm not wearing the right thing for this. I don't feel. Well, then change your clothes. Get comfortable. Get yourself tuned up. Whatever it is you've got to do. But pull forth and combine together the elements of respect. So when you're like a stoplight, respect, reverence. I see this magnificent hall or this big dome. And then now, myself. Let's combine those three all together. All those energies. Respect. I'm obeying the red light. My toe isn't moving. I'm not going. I'm on foot. You can, where's respect for you? Where do you see respect? Where do you respect the law? I'm not going to go driving out in a red light. No, thank you. I abide by the law. I don't want a ticket. I like the police officers. They're friendly. They're nice. They're great. Thank goodness for them. There's some laws that are really important and I respect. People uphold them. They're called police people, policemen and women, policemen. We're not getting into gender issues. We're not getting chaotic on this. Whatever. Don't worry about it. You got this. Respect. I respect that, red light. I respect. Reverence. Where do you the hall? And then yourself. Fuse all these energies right now. And just hold that for a moment. Wow. Calling forth this being. Calling forth this being will help you to get into alignment and help you to see men and women, guys and gals, whether you're the elder, the newborn, you're in middle life, you're having a crisis. Whoa, things are looking difficult. The pandemic has gotten you shaken up. Things have rattled you. They've rattled your cage, whatever it is. You're going to emerge from this better off. Once you kind of look at the energetics that you feel and what are constricting and holding you back. I mean, this can be your muscles in your gluteus. I mean, you're armoring up. You could always be visualizing this, that you're ready to brace something or fend something off. How many of you have these two during your day? You're just either clenching up your teeth, bracing up, you're getting ready. It's like, are you ready for a marathon? You could be in the midst of the huge reset, So that's getting things back. Things like, whoa, okay, this is what's happening now. This is the word. This is happening. So, and that's respect. So something we've all had to experience and not be just reactive to. So respect means having an honor for oneself. But if you have been wounded in a narcissist relationship, this might be a very difficult experience for you to call up, call forth, or even to be a normal, stable part of your everyday. You might not have experienced this. This might be a tear-jerking moment because you might have been dragged into, either recently or in the not-so-recent past, situations where you violated yourself in your own principles or your own principle of behavior because of some sort of energetic state that you did not honor or respect or have reverence for. The red flags. Oh boy, were there red flags? But no, you could not heed them. You could not call forth oftentimes certain emotional feeling states from which to spring forth and to live from and to be from and to think, wait, I'm okay. Things are okay. I have this energy. And if you can feel that energetic for a moment, that is you. I mean, that is the energetic, and it's important for you to have respect and reverence for the energetics that are all about you. Meaning to realize that you are a miracle being. You are a human being. You are not just your job. You are not just whatever relationship. You are not just a patient. You are not just a dad. You are not just a mom. You are a human being, which is so intricate, sophisticated, complex, yet so simple that it's very difficult to navigate, especially when it comes to a society, and when it comes to a culture, and when it comes to a family structure or system or a love relationship. And we're coming into the month of love. I know this is very important for a lot of people when they talk about, here I come again, and I should be, what am I doing for Valentine's, or what am I doing now? How am I growing? Because if you're chronically unhappy, it's because you are not growing, or you are not seeing and giving yourself the growth, for the credit for the growth that you are having and emerging and what you've even been through. So you're suffering from a lack of self-respect and suffering from a lack of self-reverence. And this can make you really down and out. And a narcissist will breed that and inhabit that in a relationship. They will cause disrespect. They will cause dishonor. They will cause very many things to go awry and asunder that you can spring forth from. You will be profound and proliferate from, meaning abundant. You will have so much glory. Yes, you will, but it's not from those eyes of those men or those women or those even types of beings. It doesn't mean that you have to go on and ignore and avoid. What I'm asking you just now in the privacy of this video is to experience a moment of I am rebirth, which means rebirth, reborn, a new season, a new becoming, a new chance to belong, a new chance to become. Just raw, just plain and simple, beyond the complexities, beyond the before, and beyond the then and now. Just for a moment, experience what is the field of your respect and what is the field of your reverence, where you felt that. So we're talking about your feeling and your B states. Okay. And I want you to draw those in truth towards yourself and say, I have this. I have respect. I am respect. And feel that in your body. And I am reverence. I am awe and reverence. And I have and I am awe, and I am reverence, which means that lives within you, and that is you. And that is more to become, but that hasn't been mirrored to you in a narcissist relationship or a pandemic laden society or a COVID law, free. If you can't get, just how many times a day have you seen the word COVID? 1,000? I mean, and is that meant sickness, sickness, sickness? Okay, so there's a lot of negative info out there that can be in your face or then distracting. Just like in a narcissist or an inhibitory relationship that inhibits you, separates you from your I am that is meant to glow and shine and be happy and can be at peace and can have holy matrimony and not disturbances of such, not aggravation of such, not pointing the finger, blames, beating each other up, type of stuff, yelling, uncivil behavior. What do you want? You might need to get it out. Yeah, there is legitimate anger. M. Scott Peck. The Road Less Traveled is the name of the book. You can read it. It starts out, life is difficult, but then there's more. And you have to learn to discern and decipher for yourself what is truth now. What is, respect the law. I really respect the law. I really have reverence for. And what is it like? Where's your toe? Like, I really have respect for, and I really have reverence for. And make sure that and then I want you to think about yourself. I have self-respect. So now when you refer to self, I want it to be done with respect. I honor. I obey. Ooh. I have peace and harmony. I don't know. I don't have any self-respect. Then let's get some. We're going to learn how. Self-respect. It's a big one. Okay? And that can be done by pain. Put your hand on pain. I'm listening. Okay? If it really hurts, I'm listening. Okay? Put the hand on the pain. I'm listening. Do you know that there was a study done with those? Well, we're going to go into that later. That's going to be for a whole nother video about visualization and such. But when it comes to respect, that has to be a lifelong thing. Like someone who goes into the military, respect. They have earned respect, okay? If they've been through, okay, respect. Okay? A narcissist will not teach you respect. They will not teach you to obey, you will not experience respect. Okay? Oh, but I did a lot. We're not going there. And I want you to truly think about something that was really, that you had reverence for. It could have just been a place, a thing, a person, but reverence meaning, is it really founded on something? Is that okay? Your reverence can be like, I saw it with my own eyes, not what someone told you to. Someone told me to reverence this. Oh, you might have reverence for, your flag. Okay? Learn more about reverence and learn, okay, but now, and I want you to have reverence, that feeling, for yourself. Respect and have reverence within. So when you think, you can just refer to yourself and just hold your body in just get that energetically in. Just whatever you have to do just to shake it into place. Maybe you pat it into place. Maybe it's right here. Oh my, where is respect for you? Respect, is it right here? Respect. And then where's reverence? Is it up here? Okay. And I want you to have those feelings and really feel it. Where is reverence for you? Where does it feel in your energetic field? Can you feel it? Reverence. Or first respect. Respect and reverence. And I want you to carry that in the gravitas of your being. Like they talk about in that great TED Talk, the name escapes me, but the executive, the executive pose, the gravitas, the gravitas, the emerging, your body language can stretch out from within. You can hold yourself in the right posture. But if your I am isn't holding respect and reverence, oh boy, you're gonna feel something different. As I feel it now, my stomach is pulling in respect and reverence for within. Not that I respect and have, not that I'm idolatry here, not that I'm saying I'm putting up a peace and harmony. I'm asking you for a personal experience. So you know that you have this power. You literally have this power to call forth these be states that then will engender, I use this word, you can tell I've studied English and studied whatever, engender this feeling, engender, to engender this feeling. Peace and harmony, I don't use that word a lot. You can use it. Every time, instead of using the word COVID, I engender. Engender. Oh, I love it. To engender. To cause or give rise to a feeling, situation, or condition. To engender. I use this word. I've studied it. I had to study a lot of words. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I sure did. In depth. There was a long period of time when your buddy, Peace and Harmony, drove with a dictionary and a thesaurus. I'd be reading this at a stoplight. I'd be reading this as my way into a grocery store. This is what I had to, I studied, okay? I had to study. I don't carry a dictionary with me anymore, but this is back in the day when you literally had a dictionary and a thesaurus. You'd have to pick it up from your Barnes & Noble, your bookstores, your bookseller. Anyway, engender. We're now looking it up on Google. We still can learn new vocabulary. We still can learn new I am and be states. Engender. To cause or give rise. Give rise to a feeling, situation, or condition. To beget, like an offspring. So to give forth, to spring forth, to engender this. So in other words, you're going to engender. This is a new experience. I'm engendering. This is not about gender, okay? We are not talking about gender. The word engender has nothing to do with gender. Okay? To engender. To beget. That's an archaic word. Oh boy. It comes from the Latin in, which means in, generate, to beget. From the Latin generare. From the Latin, so the Latin is like a mother tongue or a mother speech. We all here are speaking English. How wonderful. It comes from the Latin in and the Latin generare, to beget, which became the Latin ingenerare, which then became the Middle English to engender or generate in the English, or the Old French engenderer. So to engender. So you engender. You learned something today. What did you learn from Peace and Harmony? I learned how to engender respect and reverence. Oh, for self. Just engender that. But do this for yourself today. Do this for as it is for yourself. Because this is a state that is oftentimes a B state that is not experienced. If you have been involved or enmeshed in a relationship, in a narcissist or psychopathic relationship, you don't get a chance to pull your own strings. You don't get a chance to get support. You don't get a chance to get love. You don't get a chance to get heard. You don't get a chance to be seen. You don't get a chance to have your day in the sun. It's because they gave you the sun. It's always them. They're in the way of the sun. The sun doesn't shine directly to you. It's got to come through them or something, as if they have to take a surcharge. Narcissist surcharge. They're going to take, but it's from your energetic body. It's going to exhaust you. It's going to remove what you need to truly feel strong and like you belong on the planet where you have come from. A lot of people have been so depersonalized, so dehumanized. What does this mean? Yes, I've got my hair up in clips. What does it mean to be dehumanized? To be treated as a human. To be treated as a human being, but perhaps to be treated as a human doing, a trophy, I got you into the movie, I got you into this, and not love relationship, not a chance to experience or have what you consider love and support. So we're going to wrap it up here because it's getting a little bit long now, but I want you to engender. It's not about gender. Let's not make it about gender. Oh my gosh. Okay. I want you today to engender respect and reverence. And just those two little images, I want you to get them in your mind, write them out, get a picture. I always hope that you bring a notebook that you're writing in. Who does this belong to? It belongs to you. Okay? And I want you to engender respect and reverence. Respect, what does it look like? Where's your notebook? Where's your recovery book? I talk about this in the book that I'm working on. Okay, have many pages. You might want to do this exercise a lot, but starting today. When I talked about respect, what image calls to mind? Me, a stoplight as a kid. I got a crossing guard. Respect. Yes, ma'am. I'm not going to get run over by a car. Thank you very much. That's respect. That's how you learn. When did you learn? Okay. And then for real, that you still carry with you to this day, and reverence. Okay. And I want you, and then what is that image? So to me, I have a big image of a big hall. That it might have been even a big cathedral. I think that it was just an extraordinary entrance. I can't even remember it, but it was maybe in Washington, D.C. or something, or maybe on another family vacation, going to see some other huge something that I had reverence for. I felt, and I want to be a part of this. Like, I want to be part of something this big. Well, you are a part of something this big. Okay. And I want you to also, about yourself, and I want you to either write down what you just had, those images, write it down, get a clipping, make a note, do a sketching. Oh my gosh, there's someone on my Facebook feed. I don't really do Facebook very talented. Oh, gosh, great idea. Get your, where's your markers? I show up here with a Crayola. I got a lot of tools in the bag. I've got a bunch of these. Draw your picture. Oh, it's right here. I have another pain in my side. Oh, God, it hurts. Oh, yeah. Peace and harmony. Okay. Get these and your notebook. Okay? Guys, too. You're not a sissy. You're not a wussy. This is not sissy wussy junction. You're going for it. I don't care if you're wearing whatever. It doesn't matter. Psychopathic relationships. Okay, narcissistic relationships. Let's leave this out. Out. But I want you to engender that during the day. And I want you to experientially see what this feels like. What is your behavior? Your thought pattern? Oh, peace and harmony. I can only do this for like 10 minutes and I got to get going. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can respect yourself. You can respect yourself. You can respect yourself. You can experience reverence. You can have reverence. You can have reverence and experience reverence as you refer to your I am. Okay? And shake whatever heebie-jeebies, let it go big, let it go large, because your energy is big. But if you see it, it's because you've been holding back. And it's a reset, because it'll cause you to see, whoa, this is what lack of self-respect caused. And this is where respect came in. Let's see those little nets, okay? Between flowing net, okay? Here's where respect comes in. And here's where I was disrespected. Get to know those. Get to protect those. This is about protection. Protect your self-respect. Protect your self-reverence. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony. I hope you have a beautiful day. And more on this topic later. I'm so excited to have this tool to share with you today. And please make note as it brings forth different experiences in your being and allow you to get into a good realistic shape where you can, and then engender self-respect, peace, and harmony. Let your repertoire become more pronounced and stronger in these areas. And then what behaviors, what flows out of you, what comes out of you, and what miraculously will happen because you are there in that energy where it is pure and unadulterated. That's the place to be.